Today's lesson is on the distributive property, which is one of the 5 properties we learned about when we learned about properties of operations. But we're going to specifically talk about this one today, and it's called distributive property because multiplication is being distributed. So you're having something on the outside of parentheses that you are multiplying by all the terms that are inside the parentheses. And terms just means the numbers or variables inside the parentheses. So a real world example to help you understand this is if a boy and a girl go to an ice cream shop together, you would not want to just give ice cream to the boy. That would make the girl very unhappy. Same thing, if you gave ice cream just to the girl, the boy would be unhappy. So the ice cream has to be distributed to both of them. So when they leave the shop, you should have the boy with his ice cream and the girl with her ice cream. And they'll both be happy, right? If you just give it to one, somebody's going to be upset. So the same thing happens when we're talking about numbers. So I'm going to use variables here to represent any number. So if I have a number on the outside, A, that's being multiplied by the sum of B and C. So they're being added together. I have to distribute that multiplication to B and to C. So A times B plus A times C. I call these little arrows hippity-hoppity distributive property because it kind of reminds me of a bunny hopping. And so just remember, you have to distribute to both things inside the parentheses. So let's look at a couple, maybe 4 examples. Example 1 would be 2 on the outside and then x plus 7 on the inside. The first thing you always want to do is go ahead and draw your arrows, hippity-hoppity distributive property. The first arrow tells us that we're going to multiply 2 times x. And a simple way of writing that is just 2x. Then the second arrow tells us we're going to multiply 2 times 7, which is 14. Because there was a plus sign in the middle, we're still going to have a plus sign. That just stays the same. You cannot combine those because they are not the same. They're not like terms. One has got an x on it and one doesn't. So that would be our answer. Example 2, we're going to look at 3 and then parentheses 2x minus 1. Same thing, you always want to start with your arrows, hippity-hoppity distributive property. 3 times 2 is 6, so 3 times 2x is 6x. If it has an x on it, you keep the x. This time we have a minus sign, so the minus sign is going to stay. And then that second arrow, the hoppity, tells us multiply 3 times 1. So again, if you don't multiply the 3 times the 1, you're only giving ice cream to the boy and not the girl. Another example would be to have an x on the outside. So I wanted to show you what it looks like if the x is on the outside. You still do the same thing, hippity-hoppity distributive property. X times 2 is the same thing as 2 times x. So we're still going to get 2x. Whenever you write a number multiplied by a variable, you always put the number first. So 2x. And then the second arrow tells us to multiply x times y. And we just write that as xy. Remember that if 2 variables or a number and a variable are right next to each other, it means multiplication. So that is our answer on that one. And our last example for today is one that has a fraction, because every once in a while you'll see one with a fraction. One half of times something just means half of that, or dividing it by 2. So half of 8x would give me 4x, and half of 4y would give me 2y. So I found half, where I divided by 2. Okay, feel free to watch this video again if you need to.